Hey, Homeworthy. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Curtis, and this is our Chicago apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey, everybody, I'm Curtis Taylor Jr.,
And I'm Danielle Taylor.
and we are here in our home in Chicago, Illinois. It's roughly around 700 square feet, so it's considered, and it's our little corner and oasis in the city. When we got this apartment in 2020,
Yep.
it really was more Danielle's style. I was more of like the modern, sleek, bachelor pad type of home.
With a pop of color. That
Yeah,
was you.
always with color. But when we found this home, it just had really good bones and like really good character.
Yeah, I mean, the built-in shelves were the first thing that I noticed.
Yeah, the molding. We liked the molding, some of the traditional archways and stuff in the home, and the building. Just like it kind of felt a little reminiscent of like Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's definitely like an older pre-war building. So we are subject to things like no central air or heat. And we have these gorgeous radiators, but I mean, it just adds to the character. How did we meet? That's always a great question. And I like to tell my version because I think it's better. So we met on the college campus at the University of Missouri, and I was a freshman. Curtis was a graduate student, a senior at the University of Missouri, and we kind of just met each other in passing, but we didn't make things official until September of 2015, where we went on our first date at an ice cream parlor on campus. So from there, we had a long distance relationship after Curtis graduated and started his directing career in LA. And I came back to Chicago and started my consulting career. And then from there, we kind of did the long distance thing for a while. And then we moved here in 2020.
And then the pandemic
The
happened.
pandemic, yeah. So he moved here because of the pandemic.
Yes. So my version is I'll pick up from the pandemic part is that I came and I never left, and now we're the Taylors.
We're married.
So it worked out for us.
Yeah.
We are currently here in our entryway. We also like to call this our study. It's our study in transition as we prepare for our larger forever home. Babe, what's some of the details you want to talk about in this space that makes us love the study?
So one of my favorite things in our study or entryway is actually our front door. So when we first moved in, it was a blank slate, completely white with no embellishments. And we really wanted this space to feel like grand and I think just more considered. So what we did is we actually painted the foundation of the door and also added wainscoting. So this was a few trips to Home Depot, but after a trip or two, we were able to kind of get the design down right. We added what is usually used as molding for walls, crown molding, and we added that as our wainscoting. We wanted it to feel like chunky and thick, and also have two layers, so it mirrored some of the designs of the doors that already existed in our home. And then we also added like this little fox from Anthropology. Usually the peephole I think is on the other side of the door. I'm not sure, but we just knew that the outside of a lot of doors that we see in the Chicago area and like historic buildings have such grand doors, and because we live in an apartment, we wanted that to feel like that on the inside of our home. So we also added a kick plate at the bottom because the gold interacts with the gold of our fox and the actual door handle and our lock here.
Also, because like we said, we want to call it a study, which means we need study material. So we added these really nice floating bookshelves that we saw from one of our friends on TikTok or Instagram, and they were just like ones that everybody was talking about on TikTok. So we got these to be able to house some of our books and some of the literature that we have, but we thought it was really important that like in the future we just want to really keep building and curating this really incredible library. So why not start now? So yeah, we have bell hooks. You know, you gotta have some bell hooks. We got some Toni Morrison in there. Children of Blood and Bone. We got some fiction. Y'all know I love fiction. So yeah, and these are actually going to end up getting put in a shadow box, but these are actually our vow books from our wedding. So these ones covered in a moss are like extra special. But yeah, and like Danielle said, in the continuation of the fox, we have like all of these other like whimsical animal characters throughout the home that you'll find. So we have this horse door stopper that we're using as like a weight. So yeah, this is this. And then also in this space as well. Traditionally, when you're renting, you don't always see like these type of closet doors painted, but we painted them to match the space and to make it feel really warm. And we also added these knobs because everything is renter friendly. These gold embellishment knobs are actually peel and stick, believe it or not. So it's really easy, but they're sturdy. So they still work. And then up here, we added shiplap to the top exterior to mirror on both sides. And then also, we'll talk about this a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But the ceiling, these ceiling panels we also added, which are actually made out of styrofoam from Amazon. And then we painted them. Danielle found them. Incredible renter friendly hack. But these were drop ceiling tiles. So, you know, drop ceiling tiles get a little. But these now, it just made it feel so much more exquisite. And it really brought the character and the bones of the home that were already here. And then we added this light cover as well, which was also from Amazon, that we love. And then the last thing in this space is this rug right here, which is actually made by our friend Sean Brown. It's a Outcast rug for any of those Outcast fans there. This is The Love Below. So if you know that album, you know it's an incredible masterpiece. And so, you know, we had to add a little bit of culture into the study. My fascination and career is like as a kid growing up in the Midwest. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I always had a really vivid imagination. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do with that or how that was going to transpire into like making money. But I just knew that there was something fascinating to me about fiction and magic and the ability for things to just come out of nowhere. And so growing up as a kid, I loved Harry Potter and anything adjacent that was like dystopian. And I always just was gravitating towards like design and things that were very interesting. Because in the Midwest, we don't have access to a lot of those things readily, like the coast do.
Yeah.
And so eventually, that all sort of boiled down into like me hitting my head against the wall on a few things and ultimately landing in like writing and directing, and that finally feeling like a soft place for like my ideas and my sort of like personhood to like come to life. And I feel like it really matches my personality in the end. And then, you know, all within that, there's a sprinkle of design. Directing is like designing the whole thing from beginning to end. So, yeah. Babe, what about you?
Well, how do I follow that, Mr. Writer Director? Um, but my career, telling you about my experience, how did I start? So, honestly, I always loved beauty. I grew up watching YouTube videos and all of the greats that are now working with a lot of the incredible brands that we love and shop in Sephora today. And I didn't know how to make that a career, and I also didn't know how it impacted the planet. All of the cosmetic products, the single-use ingredients and materials that we use in order to enjoy those things. So I started my career in consulting where I learned really how to run a business. And then from there, I co-founded a company that focuses on sustainability and beauty. And then I realized that there was so much more to sustainability than just the actual beauty products themselves. It's the packaging, it's the material and the inputs. So I've started to explore the duality of sustainability and culture, and what it looks like to build a world that will last for a lifetime and beyond. And when it comes to design, I'd say that I'm very connected to my surroundings. And sometimes it's hard for me to express myself and like design something that I think shows what I have on the inside. So Curtis will do that. He'll like take pictures of things that I like. He'll be like, I really think you're gonna like this. And sometimes I don't know if I'll like it, like the tomato colored arch that we have. But once it's done, I'm like, okay, I like it. So I get a little bit of push.
She has to see it to believe it.
I do have to see it to believe it.
But that's okay. I got like a 99% shooting average. So
Pretty much. I mean, 99%, 99.9 like percent shooting average. So
it typically works out.
it works out. Yeah.
And we have a few entrepreneurial endeavors that have happened
Absolutely.
in between. So we are very used to startup and entrepreneurship.
Yes. Yeah, which is why our space is even more important to us, because the pandemic is where we really started working from our home, but we also work here together today. So even post-pandemic, we still work from home and we support our clients from here. So, you know, if I'm in the bedroom or Curtis is at the desk or at the front table, like we're literally everywhere just working.
Yeah. I think something I would add to that too that is really important is that during the pandemic, although it's like a time that's really like heavy and something that we were all globally experiencing together, it was the moment that we realized that a lot of times as renters, you know, growing up, you're kind of told that you don't want to invest a lot into your space because you're renting it and you don't own it. And because we were here in the pandemic and we were just sitting around looking at each other in like 700 square feet for almost 3 years, right?
Yeah, long time.
Like we started to understand the gravity in curating a space that inspired you to be you, but also to see the optimism in the world. Oftentimes when it feels so dark and heavy. And this was our little slice of like how to show possibility. And like Danielle said, we always say if we write a book, the book will be If You Want to Find Love, Build a Home Together. And that's what we did. All right, guys. So we are now coming into our living room, which is one of our favorite places in the home. It's kind of like the living room / dining room / office area space, but we'll get into that. But before we get into that, we have a very special piece behind us this way. Okay, so when we first started our art collection, we really didn't know that much about collecting at all. But our collection started because we got incredible gifts from friends who actually were the reason that our art collection started. And this is another piece that's a part of that story. This is a piece by a Chicago-based contemporary artist by the name of Nico Washington, who is actually one of our favorite contemporary artists right now. We have this piece and we have another Nico Washington. But this piece is really special because our friend Adrian Octavius Walker, another artist, gifted it to us as a wedding gift.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing that we got even before we got married.
And it looks like us, but it's actually not us.
All right, so now we've told you about our Nico Washington. And now we got another really, really special part in here that's a new addition. Nobody's really ever seen this, but you guys. Come take a look. Okay, so in this area, guys, we have this incredible, incredible wallpaper, which was actually a recent collaboration that we had with Auto Studio. And this is a wallpaper that's called There Was a Country. And it's by an artist by the name of Uzo. And it is just so beautiful, and it reminds us of like family reunion. When we had this space, we knew we wanted a statement wall, but we didn't quite know what it was going to be. And we went back and forth about colors for a really long time. if you guys haven't noticed by now, green is our favorite color. So green is a constant theme in the house. And green is good for prosperity. So when we see this wallpaper, it just makes us so happy. And there are little anecdotes throughout. And in these thought bubbles, you'll see like soft life, movement of the people. Like it just felt very, very like us. And what we love about Uzo's work is that she actually merges like contemporary Black life and like African diaspora across spectrum to like this really, really special place that makes it modern. And it makes it feel like a shared experience between like all of us being Black Americans. So this is like one of our like proudest moments. And me and Danielle's little brother Michael actually put this up ourselves. It was a little bit of a task, but because we do everything renter friendly, it's also removable. So if you guys are looking for some great removable wallpaper, Auto Studios, there was a country. And I surprised Danielle with it when she was gone for a work trip. Were you surprised?
I was.
When
I
you came
literally
home?
walked in and was like, what? Weren't we doing this together? What? This looks beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah. And this is like our little work from home nook. And now Danielle has like the best work from home
Background.
background.
Zoom certified.
Yeah. We surveyed it.
My absolute favorite piece in our home is actually this desk.
In the whole home,
In the whole home.
guys. Okay. In the whole home. Okay, tell us about it.
That's because Curtis is always like, Danielle, like, I think that we could take the desk out. We could swap it. And I'm always fighting for the desk. But when our home was completely empty, before we even got another beautiful piece, like our dining room table we'll talk about later, this piece was here. And this was during the pandemic. We purchased it and I had nowhere to work. Surfaces were very limited and I needed somewhere to set up my laptop and work. So when we got the desk, it was amazing. It's kind of slender and not something that's super big. So we do sometimes, we've had it here. It's been on the other side of our apartment, in the living room on the other side of the room. And it kind of serves as multiple purposes. We will turn it into a bar when we're hosting. We'll use it as just like a way to display our books or of course in order to actually work. So it's definitely one of my favorite pieces and I think it's just the details in the burl wood that makes it feel extra special. So what's on top of our desk is probably almost just as important as what's on with the actual desk. But this is an extension of our library. So throughout our entire living room, you'll see that we have a lot of books that are focused on things from photography, inspiration, floral design. Some of our favorites include A24, absolutely the new Black Vanguard, and then just vases or vessels that we use to fill with floral. And then we usually almost always have a candle here in order to just like make it feel moody and kind of warm and cozy because this is more of a nook area of our apartment. So yeah.
And I think that what's also really important for us, so coffee table books are really important to our story because they were some of the first things we could afford when we got into the space and we were like, oh, we want to start like designing and like what does that look like? And we can't buy a $2,000 table. But, you know, coffee table books are one of those things that are extremely accessible and that people can get from either their local bookstore. We like to buy local when we can.
Yeah.
Or, you know, to support artists when their monograms come out. Some of the ones that are new as well that I really love is like this Young, Gifted, and Black. Also, I Can Make You Feel Good by Tyler Mitchell. If you guys don't know, Feeling Seen by Campbell Addy. Nadine, Anything by Nadine. Our Own Selves. We love Nadine in this household. So yeah, like our coffee table books are like a warm hug. And we always encourage people who come over, like, yes, although it looks museum-like, please grab it, crack it open, read it, stay a while. That's what the candle's here for. So we have that. And then before we move on, over here in this corner, this right here is our lucky Mr. Fish. As we said, we have a lot of like whimsical character moments. So I actually found this at the Lincoln Antique Mall here in town, which is a very historical antique store. And when I saw it, I just knew I had to have it. And I remember FaceTiming Danielle, and I'm like, oh my God, I found this little bitty side table, and it's a fish. And she was just like, okay. And I showed it to her. She's like, I love it. And it's just like the perfect Peter Pan esque whimsical moment to like tie in the home. On top of it as well, by the way, we have Black Archives, which is also by another friend of ours, Renata Shirley's, who I also got the opportunity to interview before for a story that I was writing. And this is their first book that came out for Black Archives. So we love this. This is new. And then this piece right here was done by our friend Ken Dacey, who we also love, which is 101 Black Women to Read Before You Die. And so it has all these little pictorial stories of like Black women throughout history who've written books that we just love. You got Bell Hooks, Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, Audre Lorde, Alice Walker, and the list goes on and on. But it's just such a charming piece. And like, it feels like something that will go in like our future kids' room.
Yeah,
Like a
definitely. I
nursery.
mean, with the crayons and like the raisins, absolutely. And I think it's just inspiring for little women.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Okay, let's show you the rest of the living room. How we've decorated the space is it's been a natural evolution and progression. Hence the white couch. The white couch I like to use as a benchmark because it's kind of where we started. It's also where Danielle's style and my style started to converge. I would say when we first approached our home and styling, we definitely were going more neutral.
Yeah.
What was like trendy, what a lot of people were doing,
Like
the
mid-century
taupes.
modern.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
but it was still very like blank slate. It felt like a showroom.
Yeah.
And then as we went into the process more, we just wanted something that felt like lived in and something that felt sourced and nuanced. And as Danielle said before, I'm a color guy, if you can't tell by my Willy Wonka inspired frames. So like from there, we just merged the balance of like color and neutrality, and we landed on like maximalism.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things you'll see throughout this space, little like caricatures, things from our trips, our travels abroad that you'll see. And all of our designs are meant to be renter friendly because we are renting our apartment here. So we wanted it to feel like forever, meaning like we design for where we are, but also we can remove it so our landlord doesn't make us pay the price.
Yeah, that's important, folks. All right, now we're gonna show you the rest of the living room. Ta-da! We were already here, but this is the other side. The other side of the magic.
I'd love to tell you guys about our sofa. This is our 6-penny sofa and it's white. So it's definitely a conversation piece and the most clean thing in our entire home. Everything else is printed, colored, bold, and this is the one thing that's actually just all white. So the sofa is from 6-penny, as I mentioned, and the actual top pillows, like these two in the corner, are from Restoration Hardware with Etsy slip covers. We wanted a sofa that felt deep and cozy, that felt like it was inviting, but we didn't realize the color would kind of deter our guests from sitting here. So we always have to tell them, like, please come sit. But the actual piping along the edges is one of the details that stood out the most to us. And the fact that we can actually swap the cover for any other colors that 6-penny actually offers. So if we want to do a dark orange or a burgundy or a blue, we can swap it out and it's easy to clean. So we just take it off and take it to the dry cleaners and bring it back whenever we feel like we need to. So definitely one of my favorites, super cozy, and I love her.
Yeah. I think the other thing in here too, like in this room, is obviously this is the most focal point of the space. When you first come in, this is what you're greeted with visually. We wanted to have artwork here that really just started a conversation. Obviously, when our collection started, like we talked about earlier, it started from gifting. So these top pieces here are from our friend Shayna McCoy, which we like to call the twins. They're untitled, but Shayna gifted us these patches and we went and got them framed here locally at Frame Chicago. And we just thought they felt like preschool, but also, again, we do a lot of elements that are like, yo, this would be tight in the future kids' room. So we say that a lot, but I think that that's important because we want our children to be raised around art and for it not to be something that isn't always been a part of who they are. And then this is also a Shayna McCoy piece. This is an original, one of one, just for us. And we call this one Baby Girl.
Yes.
She's so cute. She's so petite. We also plan on getting her framed, but she's on this really beautiful gray velvet texture. This one in the corner is Loose Ties by our brother and friend, Adrian Octavius Walker. I actually curated this exhibition in two spaces, actually three. I've helped him do this in three spaces now, in Oakland, Columbia, Missouri, and here locally in Chicago. So this is our art wall. We got Ame Leon Dore, and then this piece right here is a piece by another one of our friends, Sean Brown. This was shot in Miami, and we just love it. It reminds us of like Black love and just what it feels like to still feel like young.
Right below our art wall, this is, I would say it's kind of like, we use it for storage, but originally it's actually a dresser from CB2. And we actually got it from the outlet. So if you're looking for a sustainable way to shop or even ways to kind of get some really good discounts, we like to shop at the outlet stores. And it'll come with like a little bit of wear and tear, but nothing that you can't fix at home. And it's just beautiful. So it has a leather front, dark wood throughout. And then we also topped it with these two twin lamps here that we found that are just stunning. I'll let Curtis tell you more about those. And then along the top of this surface, as I mentioned, surfaces are so important to us. We go through and we style this for the season. So it might be Christmas, which is coming up, Curtis' favorite holiday. We'll deck it out with snow, add a few different reindeer, and then it feels like it's just a whole new environment. And then also you'll notice some like antique pieces, some of our favorite bookends from Hay, and then also another Sean Brown piece. So this is Sean Brown's like mirrored coffee like coasters, and they're mirrors. I won't show you the camera, but they're mirrored and it has curves on them. So super cute. They look like spills, like little water spills.
These lamps are from Jocelyn, Maine, so we wanted it to feel really symmetrical in order to bring the eye in around the artwork. And then the last thing that I would say is these two African statues over there are also like heirlooms from Danielle's family. When their family was moving out of their childhood home, we asked to keep those from her parents. And just a way to kind of keep her family and her lineage a part of our home as it's ever growing is really important to us. So we like to give homage to them, and they make their own little appearance.
All right, so lighting is really important to us. We have lamps everywhere, but there's no central light in here. So when you look at this little guy here, it looks like a mushroom, but it's actually a lamp. So it's a lamp from Hay. If you tap on the bottom, it'll actually light up. It has to be charged. That's like one of the downsides of like all of our rechargeable, renter-friendly things is you have to charge them. But this is a little lamp. It's so cute and like it just feels kind of fun. And I don't know, I think like this adds a pop of color to our space and probably inspired the red arch that we have.
So how I would describe our personal style in our home is in the process of us trying to like figure out what category, because when we were looking for inspiration for things, we were like, well, what is our style? Like, it's kind of not really mid-century. It's kind of not like just all
Is it
antique.
Scandinavian?
Is it Scandinavian?
Are we modern?
And then when we finally landed and found like maximalism, we were like, okay, this feels like us. Probably not as eclectic as like maximalism could go.
Even though people say that, they say we're eclectic.
But I think what we also found is the importance of like having a desire to like preserve art and to move into the spaces like collectors. And what does it look like for your home to be a space that holds things, that preserves history and like story and like narrative and folklore. And so for us, I think that maximalism a lot of times doesn't feel like it invites like the Black experience into that lens. And so we want to be an example of that, of like, what does your home look like that is lived in, that feels like relics of your life collected? That's not like hoarding, but you know, is well placed and everything has a story and a narrative, and how that pairs with the art collection that we're building. So I think that that's how I would kind of describe. Would you add anything, babe?
I would emphasize culture when I think about our definition of design. Being a Black couple, we already have our own sense of culture that comes with our race and our ethnicity and the history of who we are. But we also really do focus on like what that culture looks like today in modern day. And I think like when we can both think about our grandmother's homes, we see a lot of similarities in, I would say, like the beauty and the details of small items. So we really like smalls. And you were talking about this when we went to the store the other day. Can you talk about what smalls mean?
Yeah, so smalls are like those knickknacks that you would probably always see that your aunt or your grandma will have. But now we've come up with a very contemporary term. These are what the girls are saying on TikTok. They're calling it smalls nowadays, fellas. So, for example, like this could be considered a small. It's a beautiful textured branch nest situation where it can inset a candle or your keys or just like random things. But we love stuff like this. So
Yeah.
these are our smalls. So now let's go into our dining room or our like dining area, depending on like who it is that's like talking about it. But we like to say our dining room. So this art piece is done by a contemporary artist in St. Louis, where my hometown is. His name is Von Davis, and this piece is called Tangible. It's really, really beautiful to us because for the longest time, we were saying like we want a textile in the home.
Yeah.
But what is it gonna look like? What is it gonna be? And then we found this painting. So Vaughn considers his pieces paintings. And it's like this really beautiful like ballet between like life of being like distressed but also still really beautiful even through everything that life puts you through. So we love Tangible. She's that girl. Vaughn loaned it to us. He was so kind to do that. So yeah, we love this. And babe, what about the wall?
All right, so this was probably one of the first areas we took seriously when painting, and we added Portola paint. So we have it in a few different places, but here is definitely where you see it the most. It's the most pronounced, and the color is nitty gritty. So Portola paint actually feels like clay, and this actual paint is Roman clay. So sometimes you'll see this texture created using lime wash or Roman clay. And for us, we use Roman clay that will like scrape along the walls in order to get this like distressed, almost velvety texture. And it feels beautiful and looks amazing. And then we layered on more wainscoting here and a little bit of a thinner pattern with two skinny ones on the side and a wider one in the center. And I don't know if I mentioned this when we were in our actual study, but our wainscoting is removable, 100% removable, and we've actually adhered it using double-sided tape. So I think we picked it up from Home Depot and found an amazing video on TikTok or Instagram that showed us how to do this. So we get the look without paying the price. And also on this wall, we have our removable sconces that we picked up from Amazon. So you'll see a lot of Amazon finds here, but honestly, it's just a wonderful marketplace to find things that will arrive quickly and also are just kind of viral at the moment, and you can make your own. So these sconces are not actually hardwired. We cut the wire and adhered them using just the screws on the side. But the actual light source, similar to the other areas in our home, are puck lights. So battery operated puck lights that we can use we can turn on with remotes. And when we're trying to set the mood, we turn the lights down, our main light down, and then we add our puck lights. So we get a little bit of a different vibe depending on the time of day.
And outside of that, again, back to small source things that just feel like very special. To this centerpiece, these are two of our favorite things that we've gotten from a local store here, which is our absolute favorite. And it's like our secret, but we're going to share it with you guys. It's called Jason Home. They also have online shopping, but you didn't hear that from me. We got this beautiful wood stand when we saw it. We just knew we had to have it. We didn't quite know what it was going to be for, but we knew that it was going to be for us. So we really like this because it feels organic and it feels like sort of ornate to be able to make this table feel more grand. And we've paired it also from Jason Home
Yeah.
with these two shells. It sort of mirrored like the organic nature of what they would look like and they were actually in the ocean. And we use them to actually like hold as vessels for fresh fruit and veggies and things like that on this rounded table. So this table functions as our dining room table. And usually when we eat, I know what you guys are thinking. Where do you actually eat at?
Yeah.
We take them off. So this is like to make it look all special and pretty. So probably like 80% of the time it looks like this, and the other 20% we're eating on it. So yeah, we love this. And the chair that's right here was a steal. I think this beautiful chair that we got from Crate and Barrel Outlet, maybe for like $70.
Yeah, it was really low.
It was a steal.
It's sturdy, very, very heavy, and it has this beautiful upholstery.
Yeah, we couldn't say no. So yeah, this is our beautiful dining room. I would say what I love most about the home is because it is such a quaint space, and because there is two of us, I like that we designed it in a way that has a very like open floor plan. We really, really like hosting. Even though our apartment is smaller, we always love to have it filled with people. And so being able to orient the furniture in a way that allows us to be able to do that. I love how the dining room and the kitchen flow into the living room. And so although we don't have like a lot of walls that like separate rooms and make them very defined, I feel like it feels a lot like us. Like we like adventure. We don't like to follow like a lot of rules. We kind of want to make up our own flow. So I feel like our home is like a really good representation of that.
Yes. Okay. I would say my favorite aspect of our home would be a room, and it's probably the underdog, but it's our bedroom. So our bedroom, it feels like its own sort of oasis. It feels like a break from the entire design of the rest of our home. And honestly, like after a spa-like experience in our shower, our bathroom, and then transcending into our bedroom after like a long week or just like a self-care Sunday, I feel like that type of experience is just like really maximized by the design of our bedroom, from the actual like bedding that we have, to the drapes that are in the room and our armoire. It feels, also the shelves at the top, those are also beautiful. So yeah, it's probably my favorite room to watch TV in as well. I think it's yours too.
It's not. My favorite room to watch TV is out here with the surround sound.
It's become his favorite.
Nice.
He likes to watch it with me, and so he watches it in there.
Right, because she likes to go to sleep early. But I personally like the surround sound. All right, so we're obviously going to talk about the elephant in the room, which was also our first concern when we saw the apartment, which was that there's no space in the kitchen for the fridge, which is why it's sitting conveniently in the dining room. But that's okay, because we love our kitchen as it is, and our kitchen has a beautiful story as well. It's perfect for two, so we get to be nice and cozy at home when we're cooking our favorite meals, and we're sharing the space. So here in the kitchen, I guess we will start by talking about the tile. So again, we're gonna keep saying renter friendly, folks, because we rent. But this tile is tile that we sourced off of Etsy. Etsy has been a great place for us to be able to find bespoke, one-of-a-kind pieces. We really wanted a statement wall in the kitchen because we don't have natural light and we don't have a window. We wanted to bring some of those nice bright colors, bold colors into the space to invite you in. And so this tile we found in the Etsy shop, and we just knew we had to have it. It's actually glass, but they're removable. And they remind us of our travels in Italy, where we went to celebrate my 30th birthday. And it reminds us of Positano and Capri,
Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast, all of those beautiful adventures. So we love that. And then this picture by Carla Rudd as well just makes us feel like it's daytime, even at night.
What do I love in the kitchen? I would say our open cabinet here. So you can see it when you're standing here closer, but really what we did was we removed the cabinet doors from one of our, the cabinet above our sink, And that was to expose the actual dishes that are within the cabinet. So we wanted to see inside, which was a way that felt like it made it a little bigger here. And it's easier for us to grab our plates. But dishware and cups and glasses are definitely like one of our love languages. I feel like we can't go into any store without like picking up a new set of plates, a new glass. So we swap out our glasses depending on like the season or what we're going for. We've gone through several rounds of revisions where we're trying to figure out the best way to display everything. But right now we just added in our favorite black plates, some eggshell blue plates that have like irregular, I'll even show you, have like irregular shapes and patterns throughout. So it just makes eating breakfast like that much better when you have like a really nice plate, like even if it's just eggs and bacon. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So the art of plating we found is really, really important. And yeah, like Danielle said, it's just the other things that make such a small kitchen like really matter, which is like we have our little herb. Occasionally we'll have a little herb garden going. This one right now is mint. And then yeah, we have the other smalls that we have. We'll have like whatever cookbook at the time that we're really loving. We'll have there. We got our knives displayed, and then of course we just have to have like our favorite hand soaps, lotions, all that, because your hands get really dry. And yeah, and we love to just throw a nice little fresh flower moment.
Like, aren't they so cute?
Yeah.
They're little bulbs.
Yeah, we like it. Oh my God, who's the chef in the house, babe?
Oh my goodness, it's me. No, I'm just kidding. It's Curtis. Curtis is really the chef in the house. Honestly, whenever our friends come over, I'm like, Curtis is cooking, so they come with a even bigger appetite than they normally would. But one of my favorite dishes that Curtis makes is, it's smothered chicken. I was split between two, but it's smothered chicken with gravy. And honestly, when he first told me about it, I was like, it sounds a little like Southern for me. I don't know.
Brown gravy.
It's brown gravy.
Okay, yeah.
With mushrooms and onions and chicken, and we usually make homemade mashed potatoes. He makes mashed potatoes.
And she enjoys them. So we've talked about the things that we love for entertaining. We talked about the places that fill our belly. What about where we lay our head? Let's
go to my favorite room, the bedroom.
If I had a tip for living in a small space and wanting to design it, it is to not view it as an obstacle, but as possibilities. I think that a lot of times we approach design almost as if it's not an equation to solve, but it is. Like every space, every room is its own equation, which means it comes with its own factors and reasoning, and you just have to keep that in mind. And just usability, like your home has to be something that you have to be able to utilize, and in a smaller space, that means that everything has to matter that you do, and every decision has to make sense. So yeah, look for possibilities, not challenges.
What would be my greatest tip for someone living in a small space? I would say to optimize organization. And when I find the best tips, I just save them like on TikTok. Like I have like a bunch of things saved. So I would say the Container Store is absolute favorite when you're trying to figure out best ways to solve for design organization. And maximalizing those like small spaces, build up where you can, and also utilize like under the bed storage. Lots of matching organization makes it feel a little bit nicer and cleaner. So I would say, yeah, that would be my tip.
All right, and we've made it to where the magic happens. That's the like MTV Cribs line. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is like our version of MTV Cribs right now. Okay, so this is our bedroom. As Danielle said, it's her favorite place in the house. And it is literally a breath of fresh air. So the wall treatment that we have in here, this is Roman clay as well, as we talked about before, but instead this one is in the color Figueroa. We're telling you the colors. Don't go do your home in the same exact colors as us, but we love Figueroa in Roman clay. And then this piece is the other piece that we talked about from Deco Washington, which is entitled Starboy, which we just love. It is such a statement for us to like walk into and to be greeted with. And we often leave our door open so that other people who are coming can also see this as well. So we kind of like treat our home like a little bit of like a art museum.
We're keepers of art.
Yeah, preservers of the stories and the people. Babe, why don't you tell them about your gorgeous vanity?
Okay. So Curtis says it that way because I wanted a vanity so bad. I do my makeup, and if you know, you know. The girls that get it, get it. You need a big surface to do your makeup, and our bathroom is kind of small. So we were searching high and low for a vanity that didn't look like it was like cookie cutter, that still felt like it fit the vibe of our home. And we found this desk. So it's actually an antique from First Dibs, and it's also from Mexico. And it serves as our vanity, also kind of like a bedside table. And we partnered it with this little stool. It's like an African stool that I can sit on. It's a little lower to the ground, but it feels kind of intimate and easy to get the job done.
So the wardrobe behind us, when we thought about what are the colors and the textures of what we wanted, we knew we needed additional space, as Danielle mentioned before, when you have a smaller space. And so we got this wardrobe that we liked the archway and how it kind of brought in the archway from the kitchen transition to the dining room. And how could we bring that into the home to kind of bring some harmony. We like also the rattan and the craning that's happening here. And it just fit. It was like a perfect fit in between our his and her closets. It just like all made sense. So it is a little bit lighter of a wood than we wanted. We really like this rich wood color, so we have thought about staining it. But overall, shape and just convenience wise, we love it.
So the mindset and inspiration behind this room was definitely for it to feel like an oasis. Sometimes it's compared to a Tulum or Scandinavian design, but we really just wanted to feel like a break from the rest of our home. So when you step in here, it's soothing, it's a little bit more moody, and just kind of prepares you for the main purpose of the room, which is to rest. So we definitely wanted to feel calm and soothing.
It's giving luxury hotel vibes, but at home, 24/7.
Yes.
You know, a little vacay.
Vacay at home.
At home. The bedding, when I first got with Danielle and she started telling me about how the girls were making their beds and all of that, fellas, I never knew beds were made like this. All of these like big pillows and the layering, there's literally like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 7 pillows on this bed. That's a lot of pillows. But presentation wise, I get it now. So when she says the girls who get it, not the guys who get it. And I love this. So I can't go back. This is like forever our presentation style. This lampshade cover we actually got again from Etsy. Again, like we said, we love an Etsy find. This we just got because it again gave us that like tropical like vacation vibe that we were looking for. The shelves above it also are from Etsy that we got custom for our space. We saw it in like Travel Inspo in Morocco, and we just knew that we wanted it. And we have these pre-loved vessels that sit atop it that give us this really nice like balanced wasabi feel that we really love. And then down here we have our tartan table slab that we love for Danielle to be able to put all of her nightly goodies on. And then also we have this beautiful lamp that we got from Gantry that is actually made from like sustainable material. So, you know, we got to keep a little eco in the house. And then my favorite thing, the remote always sits on my side, but right now it's on Danielle's side because, as she said, I'm the TV person. So, yes, the room is also one of my favorite places to watch TV. But yeah, this is our bedroom, and we love it. The word home means to me a feeling of somewhere that makes you feel safe, somewhere that makes you feel like there's still so much more life ahead of you than behind you, and like a reminder of like the best parts and the best reasons of like why we live. You know, I think for me this is, you know, a little bit more personal, but when I lost my mom to cancer in 2014, I really grappled with the idea of like what home meant. And I think that as I grew up and became an adult, I had to understand what that meant. And so now, building a home with my wife and understanding that this has become our little safe place and our space of holding memories and the best parts of what life has given us. I think that that's what home means to me.
In all honesty, what home means to me is honestly where Curtis is. So I feel like we both kind of mirror in that way. I think the reason that is because we have grown like such a dynamic life together through university, through the pandemic, and living here and then building a home together. So a lot of what we've learned and how we've grown up together lives in each other. And also when I was growing up, so I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, home was, this beautiful house. So like it kind of felt like the American dream in some ways. But then we ended up losing our home during the pandemic, and that piece of me was no longer there. It was more just memories, no place to return to. So instead of having home tied to a physical like building, I think having it tied to our partnership and like the places that we go feels more long-term and a little bit warmer. So yeah, I'd say that.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.